this is your astrology for February 2016. Thank you for joining me. It's nice to be with you today. I'm going to give you a rundown of what's coming up. And the first thing here is at the beginning of February, Venus is in your 5th house and it sextiles Neptune in your 7th house. Now, what that shows me is that you're going to feel like you're working on your relationships, you're working on really having positive, harmonious people in your life, and you're really making a lot of progress with that. Mercury was in retrograde in January, that's your ruler, so that would have been quite tough for you, especially this retrograde was a difficult one. So you'll feel back on track, you'll feel like you're communicating with people properly, things are calming down, emotionally things are calming down, and at the beginning of February you're going to feel very much aligned and like people are on the same page as you are. On the 2nd of February, Venus starts to square Uranus, which is in your 8th house. And there may be a drive or a desire for you to deepen your relationships and to really push to make that happen. So, you know, if you're in a romantic relationship and you want to be more serious and move in together, a commitment, a ring, whatever, you're going to have that drive for more security and more structure and to make things explicit in your personal relationships. So if you're someone who doesn't like labeling things, you will feel a slight desire to want to kind of nail things down a bit. If you do need security and if you do want to know what's going on with your relationships, that will even be heightened. Okay, so it's about having some sort of structure in place. On the 3rd of February, Saturn and the Moon, they trine Uranus and then they peak in with the Sun and your midheaven, and that creates what I call a triangle of harmony. It's a trine and two sextiles. And basically, this sense of security and structure will be at the forefront of your mind, and you will actively be working to having that in your day-to-day life. So, this is difficult, you know, because sometimes if a relationship is new and you start to try and define it too early, it can be detrimental. But if a relationship's been going on for 6 months, a year, and you're still just having fun seeing each other, then that's something you're not going to tolerate particularly. And I think these first 3 days is when that's going to come up. So have a think about how that will impact your relationship specifically. If you're happy to put down, you know, lay down some ground rules, then do that. But just be aware that as the month starts, that'll be something within you that comes up and that's activated. On the 4th, there's a grand cross. And a grand cross is when 4 squares combine to make a big square in the sky. And it's usually a time when you feel very frazzled, when you feel like you're being pushed and pulled in every which way direction. And the things that are going to be coming up for you on this day is you're going to feel very confident within yourself. What you're doing is right. You're going to have lots of ideas at work that you want to implement. You're also going to be, on one hand, kind of remembering things that other people have done to you, i.e. resentment or thinking back on unpleasant things. And you're also going to be thinking about where you want your family relationships to go. So you're literally all over the place, okay? What I would focus on is your strength, taking practical action, of working, of focusing on what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and let the rest go a little bit. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't try and fix your whole life in one day. It'll exhaust you. Just focus on what works best on this day and just try and keep things as calm and quiet as possible. On the 5th of February, there's a T-square in the chart and it connects your Chiron and your Jupiter, and it peaks in your 10th house in Gemini. Now Gemini is like your brother, sister, both actually, because both of you are ruled by Mercury. You're very much about taking information in, making sense of it. Gemini is about discovering the information and acquiring it. And on this day, you will feel, again, your relationships, I think you've got some sort of you're really thinking about those very emotionally at the moment, and you're letting your emotions cloud your thinking even when it comes to work. And that emotional thinking is actually stopping you from being as productive and as open as you could be. So if you have any unresolved issues with people, try and put those to bed before the 1st to 5th of February, because it'll slow you down. It's just emotional gunk that you have to wade your way through. So kind of make a list of who you resent or who's bothering you. And I'm serious, you know, we all have issues with other people. I mean, I met the meanest woman in the world the other day, and we all have it, okay? So it's about putting those things down, seeing if there's anything you've done to exacerbate that situation, to make it worse, or even if you brought it about, to get clear on that, to make amends to that person if it's your fault. If not, then what in my experience has worked best and does work best is to actually pray for that person. And when you pray for that person, your resentment, your inner negative feeling starts to melt away. And sometimes you have to do it a lot. Sometimes you have to pray for them for, you know, several times a day for weeks. But I've never had to do it more than a week or two before the feelings have left me, ever. So try that. Okay, on the 6th of February, there's a yod in your chart, and that's the finger of God. It connects to Mars and Venus, and they apex in your 10th house. Mars is the archetypal male principle, Venus is the archetypal female principle. When you put those two together, you get new life. A yod is the universe kind of intervening in your life, and it points towards your 10th house, Gemini ideas. A new idea will be born in your career, in your working life, about your working life, that will really enable you to either start something new, go in a different direction, start a whole new career altogether, get the information that you need to start a whole new career. It all happens on the 6th. Watch out for that day. It's going to be highly, highly useful for your career future. On the 8th, there's a new moon in Aquarius, and the new moon is when the sun and the moon, they conjunct, and the moon looks totally black. It pulls energy in, and this is Aquarius, which is an air sign, which is about ideas, especially with Aquarius, ideas focused on how to help humanity, or scientific, kind of really logical right brain. Is it left or right? The really scientific side of the brain, the thinking side. And that kind of information is pulled in, and it's in your 6th house of work and day-to-day routine. So yesterday, that yod was highly instrumental in inspiring you or giving you some sort of insight. And now this new moon, same thing. That kind of information comes in, and it urges you to take action on it. It's about new beginnings, fresh starts. On the 10th of February, the moon and Chiron, they conjunct, and they oppose Jupiter in the North Node. By the way, Jupiter and the North Node are both in your sign of Virgo, and they're in your 1st house all month, okay? So it's not been a bad time for you anyway. Since August the 11th, 2015, when Jupiter went into Virgo, things have been kind of going your way. That continues, and certainly does this month. But what happens here again on the 10th of February, it's the opportunity to either progress in your work, and this is how it's set up at the moment. You can either be inspired and have all of those wonderful ideas, and you can have the muses coming down and sitting on your shoulders and singing sweet, you know, songs of victory into your ear, or you can use that mental space to really hate someone else and to actively resent someone. You know, I can't believe she took my job and I'm in this situation because she did that to me, and I will never forgive her. And that takes a lot of time and energy, that kind of thing. And when you're actively resenting someone, you're missing all of this information. So unfortunately, the way this is set up is grown-up style, okay? If you're a grown-up and you can deal with your resentments, then you'll be inspired. If you're not a grown-up and you let yourself be ruled by your anger and resentments, you'll miss some opportunities. So be a grown-up. Coming from me, I know, you know, we all struggle with this. Resentment is a thing that, it's just one of those things, okay? And we have to try and do right by other people. Personally, I think that's the best way to make sure it doesn't come up in your life. Chiron stops quincunxing the Ascendant on the 12th of February. That sense of being vulnerable, emotionally overly sensitive eases off on the 12th, and you'll start to feel much more grown up again. You'll start to feel more yourself and less sensitive. The moon squares Venus and Mercury on the 13th of February. Now, the moon has moved into your ninth house. From the 13th of February, this is a fabulous time for you to travel, to explore things, and travel in a real sense, like go to China, or go to Thailand, or go to America, or go to the UK, or Europe, wherever. You'll really, really get a lot out of it. And it's a moon, okay? So the moon moves very quickly. It happens to stay in your ninth house for 3 days. So let me just look at when those days are. 13th of Feb is it's a Saturday, okay? So Saturday, Sunday, Monday. If you've got the weekend, go away for the weekend, you will have the best time. And also it squares with that Venus and Mercury in the 5th. Go away with your boyfriend, girlfriend, you will have the best time. Plan a romantic weekend. This is the best time for you of the month so far for romance and love. Okay, 13, 14, 15. Really, really appears on the radar. So far, I haven't been talking about that at all. It's all been resentment and work ideas. But really, 13, 14, 15, love is in the air. And I'm not even joking. I didn't say it because of this, but it is Valentine's Day on the 14th. So I don't know how you feel that, but you'll certainly be feeling the love this Valentine's. Amazing. Okay, so on the 14th, Mercury goes into Aquarius. That's in your 6th house. So again, the ideas when it comes to work, they start to form, crystallize, really improve. You start thinking much more logically, much more in your realm of you don't like being overly emotionally, it unnerves you, okay? So with that Mercury moving into an air sign, your antennas are kind of pinging, your intellect is rolling over, the wheels are turning, things are getting easier for you now as the month progresses. On the 14th as well, there's a Grand Trine in Earth. Grand Trine is an area of ease and talent, so this is on Valentine's Day. So take practical action, whether you go away for the weekend on a trip, or whether you ask someone out, or whether you take a risk in a practical, real-world way, the odds are really stacked in your favor. On the 16th, the moon opposes Saturn, and there's a contradiction now between your ideas and the way you feel like you ought to be thinking. So you may feel like there's a pressure on you to conform and to do things a certain way, and that's not going to go well with what's going on in your head and all the ideas that are popping and zinging. And again, there's our word, you may resent the interference. So watch out for that. So, oh dear, you don't want a resentful Virgo on your hands. You never hear the end of it. I'm a Virgo myself, I'm allowed to say that. Okay, I know what that feels like. So again, letting go of resentment, making sure that the thing, like for instance, on the 16th, you know, if you've got all these great ideas and someone opposes you about those ideas and you get annoyed about it, that's a choice. You can just disregard that opposition and say, well, they're my ideas, I'm going with it. That's a choice. So really get clear on what you're doing and what you want so you can avoid that negative emotion. Venus goes into Aquarius on the 17th. And Venus is in your 6th. So again, a consistent theme here during February is that work flows nicely. You have lots of good inspired ideas. You're able to take positive practical action. And so far, the best things here are career and love during the month. The 3 days of that love, that superb romantic kind of vibe there. But throughout, work is consistently positive for you. Also on the 17th, we've got the moon conjuncting the Ascendant, and that actually squares Jupiter and the North Node. Okay, so this is similar, but you'll feel perfectly aligned with the work that you're doing, and you'll feel like you're doing the right thing. So this is a very positive day for you career-wise, and for you to feel good about what you're doing. A kite occurs on the 19th, and that's literally something that can take flight, okay? This is in the element of water, and what this is saying to you, Virgo, I know Valentine's Day was good, but the 19th is also good in terms of when you act on your true feelings, when you put yourself out there and you take action based on something that you're feeling, whether it's approaching someone or sharing with someone how you truly feel, the odds are stacked in your favor and things will look positive as a result. On the 20th, the moon starts to oppose Venus and Mercury in your 6th. And that's quite positive. The moon is in Leo in your 12th house, and that gives you a real sense of spiritual fire, almost like being connected with what's real, what you value, what's really working for you. And then Venus and Mercury, the everyday humdrum of work, the everyday ticking over of your actions, what you're doing, what you're putting into it, that all really fits nicely together. And again, this time of the month, between the 19th, 20th, you feel like work is really going well for you. And you feel work is going well for you when good things are happening. I mean, that's usually how it works, okay? So good things will be happening. It's a great time also to do anything that scares you, presentations, signing contracts, asking for promotions, because good things are occurring. So take a risk. Not only are the odds stacked in your favor, but it's likely that you're going to do very well. On the 21st, there's a grand trine, and that's also in fire. It's between the moon still in the 12th, Uranus in the 1st, and Saturn in the 4th. So you're going to have a lot of self-belief and the confidence to actually put yourself out there, which you wouldn't necessarily have at other times. So again, career-wise, the best day to take a risk, to ask for promotion, to ask for more money, those kind of things. On the 22nd, the full moon occurs, and this is particularly positive for you because this is a full moon in Virgo. Okay, so obviously your sign, the full moon, is the moon energy coming to fruition and kind of showering the planet with its energy, and there'll be a general atmosphere of Virgo kind of practicality and order. So you're going to feel very aligned with yourself, with other people. You'll feel like the actions that you take have a positive outcome. And I'm saying it for the 5th time probably, but the odds are stacked in your favor. So this is really a good month to enjoy yourself, to take a couple of risks when it comes to your career, because it's very likely that those risks will pay off. You know, other times everything can be stacked against you, and thank goodness this isn't one of those months. On the 24th, the moon conjuncts Jupiter and the North Node in your 1st house, and this again is going to be a very positive day for you to take action, whether that's signing up for a course or making a decision, buying a house, proposing to someone, making a really big long-term decision. And the 24th of February is a Wednesday, so it's in the middle of the week. It's nothing spectacular, but it's a really great day to commit to something, to embrace it, and to say, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do. On the 26th, there's a T-square between your moon and your Uranus, and it peaks, the triangle peaks with Pluto in your 5th. Now this is a day that's somewhat confusing, okay? You're going to feel like you want to tell other people what they want to do. You will feel very positive about your financial situation, and you will also feel like relationships are now work, like you have to make an effort. And it'll all feel kind of incongruous with the fun time and the positivity that you've had so far. So this is one of those days where it's important to listen to your feelings, let those guide you. You'll be able to navigate this and see what really is most important to pay attention to. Not everything is going to be that important, but just see how the day goes and let your feelings guide you. I know that's a little bit vague, but you'll know on the day what is appropriate to kind of apply yourself to. On the 28th, there's a grand trine in water, and this gives you an area of talent and ease when it comes to your feelings. This is a great day now to speak to someone and to amend a relationship. I think by the time the end of the month here comes around, you're over the earlier resentment feelings of the month. You've dealt with that. And you're now actually calm enough and happy enough and peaceful enough to approach that person and to say, listen, we had a bit of a spat earlier in the month. Can we sort it out? Can we get back on track? And the 28th is the best day to do that. So this is the best day so far, relationship-wise. And these are relationships that have been troublesome in the past, not romantic relationships. That's good anyway. It's a leap year, so there's an extra day here. We've got the 29th of February. And that, okay, it ends with Mars and the Moon being in Scorpio in your 3rd house. So, what I just told you to do yesterday, to speak to that person, yes, that will be positive for you, but just remember that you might not always get the response that you want, or that it could reignite resentment. Be very careful. So there's a potential to get this out of the world, to resolve this once and for all, but it might bring up a bit of emotional stuff again. Ultimately, I think it would be a good thing for you to face this, because it's real and you can put it to bed once and for all then. And that's what I got for you in February. I hope that's been useful. If you'd like a private reading with me about your career, or romance and relationships, or resentments, then please get in touch with me via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. I'm really proud of the website. I've redesigned it, or I've had it redesigned. It looks great. I love it. So have a look at that. Click on the readings tab to see the types of readings that I offer. And please remember to subscribe to the channel. I do these monthly videos, and I also do a daily tarot prediction. So I'll speak to you soon, and have a wonderful month.